Hi and a very warm welcome to the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship for 2019. This is event 2, and as you can see, we are at Snetterton in Norfolk. The cars have completed qualifying and the grid looks like this. Championship leader Rick Styron on pole position from Andrew Porter, then Gary Lawrence and Nick Hull. Anthony Hutchins completing the Supersport Boxsters. Hugh Pert, championship leader for the 924s, is on pole there, ahead of Andy Pritchard, Chris Valentine and John Jones. Blue skies, perfect conditions. We've got a good sized crowd here spread around the circuit. The lights are on ready for race 1. Out go the lights. On board with Gary Lawrence from P3, but the front row, Rick Styron in black, Andrew Porter in white. Styron, I think, has got a good start and has got his nose in front, but look at Gary Lawrence coming through on the inside line in green. He manages to pass Porter and he edges ahead of Nick Hull as well, so great start from Lawrence. Porter is challenging for 3rd place. Nick Hull on the outside line, the blue car matching the sky here. Porter on the brakes, challenging hard. Nick Hull round the outside line, working hard to try and hold on to 3rd. Then we've got Anthony Hutchins. The 924s have been led away by Hugh Pert in another blue car, the blue 924. But that was a good start by Rick Styron and 2 from Gary Lawrence, who took the opportunity to follow through and come up into 2nd position. Nick Hull had to work hard around the outside of the hairpin on lap number 1 to get ahead here of Andrew Porter. So Rick Styron the leader, Gary Lawrence is in 2nd place. Now Styron, I think, made a little mistake there, and Nick Hull is pouncing, as does Gary Lawrence, who goes through on the outside line. So Rick Styron very rarely looked like a twitch on the car as he came out of Agostini, and Gary Lawrence has got the lead. Incredible stuff from 3rd on the grid, and we're about half a lap round. Gary Lawrence has got the lead and Rick Styron has got work to do. The championship leader and the most experienced driver in this championship, certainly the most successful driver in the championship in the 99 car, finds himself with a lot of work to do. And it's Gary Lawrence the leader, Rick Styron 2nd, 3rd place is Nick Hull from 4th on the grid, and Andrew Porter, the man who's lost out really from qualifying because he was on the front row of the grid with Rick Styron. So it's all turned around and plenty to race for over the course of the 20-minute race distance, which is our normal race distance, of course, for the Toyo Tires Porsche BRSCC Championship. Rick Styron's on board, showing us that he's getting closer here to Gary Lawrence. Now this is going to be a thrilling encounter, I'm sure, coming up towards Coram, the sweeping right-hander, then into the 90-degree Murray's corner, and then onto the home straight. They'll hopefully bypass the pit lane entrance, which is on the right-hand side of shot now. And let's have a look at Rick Styron, see how much speed he's getting. He's closing up. There is the leader of the 924s, Hugh Pert, pole position again, as he did at Brands Hatch. He picked up 2 class wins, 7th position overall in both of the races. Rick Styron putting the pressure on, so Gary Lawrence defensive on sort of halfway down that straight in towards the hairpin, and then comes out, takes as much of the racing line as he dare, with the attentions of Styron right behind. You can see Styron looks to the outside, now dives on the inside line and has a look, but there isn't room there, so Lawrence doing a good job of defending at the moment. This is the run, slightly downhill as you can see, into Agostini, the hairpin. Is there going to be room here? No, there's not. Styron, in fact, not quite close enough. We've still got all 5 cars in the Supersport Boxster class together. Anthony Hutchins is in 5th place at the moment. Rick Styron just trying to work out where he can grab the speed and the momentum. It's one thing catching, but it's quite another one being able to get past. But there are good overtaking opportunities here at Snetterton on 300 circuit. 300 equates to just a shade under 3 miles, but in essence it's a 3 mile track. As Styron starts to build momentum here, will he go to the inside for the next corner, which will be the left-hand side of the track, which is pretty well covered? No, he goes to the other side, and this is going to be brave stuff. If he can draw level and they give each other room, he'll get the inside line for the next part of the complex, but he doesn't, because Gary Lawrence has the speed into the corner. You can see the cars keeping well clear of the sausage curbs on the inside, which would really dislodge the cars, probably force a spin. These guys, as we saw at Brands Hatch, have some clean, fair racing, and I hope I'm not jinxing things by saying that, but we really did see some great respectful racing at Brands Hatch, side-by-side stuff, all clean, and that's what the fans want to see as well. The drivers want to take the cars home in one piece, go to work on Monday morning. Along the start-finish straight once again, and Rick Styron still looking to try and get past. Remember, Styron had pole position pace in qualifying, so he might feel he's got something of an advantage, certainly a psychological advantage having got that. Looks to the outside line at Rich's, can't go through there, so we'll grab the curb at Rich's now as they come down into the hairpin once again. Lawrence comes across, gets defensive on the brakes into the hairpin. Lawrence goes wide, and Styron is through. Rick Styron goes through. Lawrence is on the grass and rejoins, I think, in fourth place. And now Nick Hull's got the lead. Nick Hull passes Rick Styron, so Styron must have lost momentum as well. And Nick Hull leads the race here at Snetterton. A high drama event here. They come out of Palmer Corner, head down in towards Agostini again, and it's Nick Hull that leads. But now here comes Styron, challenging to try and retake the lead. They're side by side into Agostini again, giving each other room. And Nick Hull, sensible driving. Remember that great overtake we saw from him on the outside of Graham Hill Bend at Brands Hatch? And yes, I'm quite within my rights to bang on about that, because that was one of the best outside passes I've seen. In one of the most difficult cars to do it in. It was good racing. Now, the key thing here, I was going to say, I was expecting Nick Hull to have a lap lead on his career statistics there, and it's going to be part lap lead instead, because he didn't cross the line in the lead, but he did grab the lead, and Rick Styron managed to get back. There's Hugh Pert in the 924, so he's clear of the opposition in this one at the moment, the opposition being John Jones and Andy Pritchard. Andy Pritchard, who will move into, well, consolidate second place in the championship, because he shared that currently with Chris Valentine, who is here, and John Jones running third. I think we'll grab third off of Chris Valentine, if my maths is correct, for this race. But we're on board now with Gary Lawrence, the Devon-based racer, 5th position. So my immediate thought was that he dropped back to 4th, but he's chasing Anthony Hutchins at the moment, so a lot of recovery for him to do. And Lawrence, who I was surprised at the start of the year when I was putting the statistics together, hasn't won a race in the championship. Nick Hull did in the early days of the Boxsters. Rick Styron's obviously got the most race wins, as we've told you before. But Gary Lawrence, I was starting to pontificate whether, having got into the lead, whether we were going to see a first career win for Gary Lawrence, but it could still be in this race. But he's got work to do. As you can see, he's in 5th, and he's closing in on Anthony Hutchins, the driver from Rye. And so Brands Hatch was his home race, the former Mazda racer. We're focused at the moment on Andrew Porter, who is having a decent race. So Lawrence beginning to close in on the field. Remember, qualified 3rd, so realistically that will be his target, to try and get into a podium position here in terms of damage limitation, and he's got work to do to try and close up. We're 8 minutes into the race out of 20 minutes. It's a grueling weekend for these boys, because they get to race 3 times, so it's an hour of racing track time plus they're qualifying, so it's great value for money. And they race on the very best circuits in the UK as well. Obviously Brands Hatch for our starter, Snetterton 300 circuit here this weekend. And after a 4-week break to refettle the cars and re-energise themselves, everybody was ready to come out and have a good race. So Nick Hull 2nd, Rick Styron getting away a little bit at the moment in the black 99, but we're going to focus on this scrap for 4th position. Gary Lawrence, having grabbed the lead earlier on around the outside of Agostini, is now fighting for 4th place, and he tees himself up the inside line of Anthony Hutchins in the red, white and blue 80 and goes through. And that was a good pass, good clean pass. Again, both the drivers respecting what each other are doing. Gary Lawrence had the speed, had the track position on the inside line going into Brundle, which is the left-hand corner, and that's position achieved for him. Hutchins, of course, still very much learning boxers. This is only his second event with us, and he will get to grips with the cars, as indeed he did with the Mazdas. Hugh Pert still leading the 924s. Had, as I said, 2 class wins at Brands Hatch, was 7th overall in both of those races, and the 924s still a very welcome part of this grid. In fact, they were the initiators of the championship, as you will know, back in 1992. Here is Nick Hull. Nick being closed on a little bit now by Andrew Porter, who seems to be getting a bit of race rhythm, and that pace that he had in qualifying is beginning to show in the race. He's closing in on Nick Hull, and they in turn will look in their mirrors and see the resurgent Gary Lawrence trying to close up. So on board with Porter into Palmer Corner, gets to the apex a little bit earlier than Nick Hull. They're going to come slightly downhill. There's not a huge amount of gradient change here at Snetterton, but you can see on the infield why Jonathan Palmer did that. It brought the old circuit to life, and having a look up the inside line now is Porter. Very nearly did a Rick Styron there on Nick Hull, but I think Nick was wise to that. Nick wasn't overly defensive going into that corner. So they go through Hamilton, the left-hander, then this first right-hander is Oggie's corner, short run. Then once they go through Oggie's down to the next turn, again, right-hander called Williams, and then onto the long straight. Used to be known as the Revit straight here, but as part of the rebuild and the rebranding, Jonathan Palmer now calls it the Bentley straight, and Andrew Porter loses a little bit of time there, but closes up under braking on Nick Hull. Nick, again, not feeling the need to go overly defensive at the moment. They'll go through Bumhole and then head down towards Coram Corner again in bright sunshine. You'll see spectators around the circuit. Now, bear in mind, because we're racing on the 300 circuit, we've got a good number of race fans here today, but there's 3 miles. Actually, it's more than 3 miles of spectator banking for them to spread themselves out on, because you've got spectator areas on the inside and on the outside of the circuit. The whole venue is maximised for such events. Here we go with Gary Lawrence again along the Senna Straight, so named because the late great Ayrton Senna was based near here in his Formula Ford days. Of course, he was part of the Van Diemen team, did a lot of testing here. This was effectively his base. And Senna Straight slightly uphill, then downhill gradient slightly into Richie's corner, then the run down into the hairpin, which is where we are now with Andrew Porter chasing Nick Hull, who is wide through the hairpin, but that's not a big problem because that's going to set him up to be on the right side of the track for the next corner, which is Palmer. Gary Lawrence is closing in on them. Lawrence setting some good lap times at the moment. Rick Styron's got the fastest lap, 2 minutes 13.890, averaging just a shade under 80 miles per hour around here. That's quick when you consider the hairpins and twists and turns that we've got on the 300 circuit, but again, a good challenge from Andrew Porter looking for second place. Styron very nearly the length of that short straight clear of this battle. What we can't see from Andrew Porter's onboard, we can see the back of Nick Hull's car with his trademark Union flag on the back of the car. What we can't see is where Gary Lawrence is, and he's closing up on this battle, so we're going to have a 3-way fight for second position, and that is real good, close, typical Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship racing. And there is the proof. We've got Lawrence closing in on this, so all of a sudden Andrew Porter is going to have to think about maybe defending, but he's not going to have the chance because Lawrence was so quick out of Williams and leaps past into third position. Lawrence is back on a podium from being fifth. He led the race, he went down to fifth, so, well, I'll tell you what, if he can pass Nick Hull, he'll have had a lap in each position on track. That's if he doesn't get past Nick Hull from fourth position here. So through Bombhole, which legend has it was created because there was a bomb exploded there in the war, but then somebody told me that's not the case. I must find out the truth about that. But anyway, Hull is being put under big pressure through Murray's onto centre straight again. And Gary Lawrence is picking up speed. So Lawrence now hungry, having got back onto a podium position, which I thought would be a realistic target for him, has exceeded my expectation. Now looks to the inside line. Nick Hull sees him coming and again isn't overly defensive, doesn't go across early because he wants some speed coming out of Riches and heading down in towards the hairpin. Let's see whether Lawrence can look down the inside line here. No, he doesn't want to do that. He's going wide. This is all about momentum, carrying the speed through the hairpin and down in towards the next corner, which is Palmer. Styron's best lap at 2:13. Gary Lawrence has done a 2:14.6. He's the second quickest driver on track, Gary Lawrence. So if he's being conveyed that by his pit signals, he'll know that second position pace is what he has at the moment, but he doesn't have the position at the moment because he's still got to work with his old sparring partner here, Nick Hull, who runs wide there. So Hull under pressure but keeping cool at the moment. Styron disappears away in front of us. Gary Lawrence still challenging hard. We're at three-quarter distance now. The race, which should go to 9 laps. 15 minutes elapsed on the clock, and Gary Lawrence is still chasing, drifts wide here. Down in towards Williams. This is where he's been quick. He's made passes on the Bentley straight. He's too far back at the moment from Nick Hull to challenge here. So Hull's actually responded very well indeed to the challenge of Gary Lawrence, but Lawrence will close up under braking as they come into Brundle. Left-hander, Nelson is the right-hander. Here's the left, into the right, Nick Hull still there. Then they travel through to Bombhole. Good viewing point here. One of many really good viewing points at Snetterton. Rides the curbs and is now right under the spoiler of Nick Hull's car. So the battle for second position is very much on again. Still got Andrew Porter, I think, in behind us. Dropped away a little bit, isn't he, Andrew Porter? Just having a look back. No, Andrew Porter, in fact, we've got Anthony Hutchins now in 4th place. So what's happened to Porter, I don't know, but it's Nick Hull, I've got to say, for my money, looking comfortable now in 2nd place. And I hope that's not cursed the commentator or anything. Gary Lawrence has got to regroup. Saw a flash of the pit signals being delivered on the pit wall, and this is one exhilarating place to stand on the pit wall. And I find it more exhilarating than any other circuit as the cars go past here. I think it's because it's such a long, fast straight. Lawrence still challenging again. Wide line here. There's no room on the inside line there. Lawrence gets it right after that. Was it an error or car problem earlier on? We'll maybe find out in the race interviews. But whatever that was, Lawrence has fought back in a very good manner indeed, as Rick Styron passes Andy Pritchard, who's running in 2nd position in the 924s. There he is in the number 11 car. So Andy Pritchard will here grab some good points in the 94s. Actually, in fact, he's running 3rd in the 94s. Second, we've got John Jones running in 2nd place at the moment. But we rejoin the battle for 2nd position, and Gary Lawrence, who really is getting the momentum now. You can see he's exploring the different lines and taking the appropriate wide line into corners to gain momentum on the exit to try and get past. But he just hasn't had that little bit of extra speed to deal with Nick Hull, but now he has, and you can see very quick out of Williams' corner again. And are we going to see what is becoming a trademark move from Gary Lawrence? He's on the outside line. Now, whether he gets past, how much momentum has he got here? They're closing up on Andy Pritchard, 3rd in the 924s as well. That line indicates to me that Gary Lawrence is up into P2. Lawrence has now passed Nick Hull, so Hull is still on the podium in 3rd place. Pritchard sees the Super Sport boxer in his mirrors and lets him through. And Gary Lawrence has held the lead of this race. He then went to the back of the group in the Super Sport boxers and has now fought his way back through into 2nd position. But Nick Hull is not giving up. He's still there. Runs deep into Murray's corner, does Nick Hull there, still in 3rd place. And at the moment, the cars echoing their results as the race leader passes John Jones in the 639 car, the red car. Jones 2nd in the 924s. So we've actually had a little bit of camera time on everybody in this race. The battle for 2nd and 3rd seems, I think, perhaps now to be settled. Rick Styron's best lap was back on lap 4. We're on board with the race leader. Clear circuit. His next target, next thing to focus on, is going to be Hugh Pert, who is 6th overall and on his way to a 3rd win in the 924 category. The red 924 there of John Jones is going through. This is going to be a best result for John. He had 2 fourths at Brands Hatch, new driver to the championship. So this is going to be a best by 2 positions for him. So congratulations to him. Still got 3 miles to go. As Nick Hull, I tell you what, Nick Hull has not finished yet. He's chasing Gary Lawrence in P2, and I wonder whether Gary's maybe taken a bit too much out of his tyres, but Nick Hull is certainly challenging hard. Remember, Nick qualified 4th, Gary Lawrence qualified 3rd, so they've both made progress from where they started. And Rick Styron, the championship leader, is going to pop a lap on the leader of the 924s. Hugh Pert is going to win the 924s. He's still got Brundle, Nelson, Bomhole, Coram and Murray's to negotiate, of course, to get to the checker, as has Rick Styron, who is out front. This is lap 9, and it's been a hard-fought race for Rick Styron, and 3 race wins on the bounce. He's not quite there yet, and remember, we did see a little blip from the car down at Agostini earlier on, but they are pretty much few and far between from Rick Styron. The gap that he has is just over 9 seconds ahead of Gary Lawrence, but that would have been closer had Gary not had that moment, and one wonders whether Gary Lawrence is going to take the battle to Rick Styron in race 2. I suspect he will. In the meantime, though, the checkered flag awaits the 99 car of Rick Styron, who wins round 3 of the Toyo Tires BRSCC Porsche Championship. Immediately behind him in blue, taking the checker in the 924s, is Hugh Pert, who achieves 3 on the bounce in the classic 924 category. Gary Lawrence is 2nd from Nick Hull, Anthony Hutchins 4th from Andrew Porter. Hugh Pert wins the 924s from John Jones, with Andy Pritchard in 8th place. Fastest lap, Rick Styron in the Boxsters and Hugh Pert in the 924s.
Well, John Jones, congratulations, 2nd place finish, and for someone with as little experience as you have, relatively speaking, that's been a fantastic result, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. It was a bit of a war of attrition with some of the cars having problems, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to be on the track to get a finish, and I finished 2nd, so yeah, immensely happy.
What is it that attracted you to the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship and 94s in particular?
Always been a fan of Porsche. I've got a 944, a Cayenne. My fiance's got a 718, so Porsche is in the blood, and it's a fantastic car to race, relatively low cost, and immensely good fun.
Well, let's hope for some more podiums tomorrow.
Let's hope so. Thank you.